US $5.3 billion. That was the net worth of one man, William Herbert Hunt, a Texas oil heir. In 1980, that sum could buy you a small country. But the Hunt brothers didn't want a country. They wanted silver. Before August 1979, silver traded below $10 an ounce. By New Year's Eve, it hit $34.45. Then, in January 1980, it passed $50. They had won. By every measure, they had cornered the world's silver market. The richest family in America had pulled off the biggest commodity play in history. But winning was the problem. Because when you own so much of a metal that the entire financial system depends on it, you don't just break a market. You break the rules, and the rules changed. The exchanges rewrote the game mid-play. The price collapsed. On March 27, 1980, Silver Thursday, the Hunts failed a margin call so massive it threatened to drag a major brokerage into the abyss. A consortium of banks had to step in. The SEC wrote a report. The Silver Crisis of 1980. So here's the question. What happens when the richest family in America bets everything on silver and loses? The answer is not what you expect. It nearly took down Wall Street. This is the story of two brothers, a metal, and the day the system fought back. Introducing Nelson Bunker Hunt and William Herbert Hunt, heirs to a Texas oil fortune and the richest family in America. To understand how two Texas oil heirs, Nelson Bunker Hunt and William Herbert Hunt, tried to corner the world's silver market and nearly broke the American financial system. Silver traded below $10 an ounce before August 1979, reached $34.45 by the 31st of December, and passed $50 an ounce in January 1980. Then the exchanges changed the rules to stop them. The price collapsed. And on Silver Thursday, the 27th of March 1980, the Hunts failed to meet a margin call so large it threatened to take a major brokerage down with them and forced a consortium of banks to arrange a rescue. The Securities and Exchange Commission wrote its own staff report on the affair, called the Silver Crisis of 1980. The story of how the richest family in America gambled on a metal and lost. You have to look past the surface. The same pattern shows up again and again, and its effects compound the longer it runs. How did two oil tycoons decide to bet their fortune on a single metal? They watched the dollar bleed value through the 1970s. Inflation ate savings. Gold had already broken free from government control. Silver, they believed, was next, the last real money still priced like a commodity. So they started buying. Not a few bars, not a modest position. They bought futures contracts, then physical metal, then more futures. By late 1979, silver had climbed from below $10 to over $34. The Hunts saw it as validation. Their logic seemed airtight. Paper currencies were doomed. Silver. They didn't walk onto the trading floor and announce themselves. That would have been too obvious. Instead, the Hunt brothers built a shadow network of buyers, brokers in Switzerland, shell companies in the Bahamas, accounts that answered to no single name. They bought silver futures by the thousands of contracts, each one a promise to take delivery of the metal at a future date. But they didn't stop there. They also bought the physical stuff, bars, coins, ingots, and stored them in vaults across 3 continents. The goal was simple: control the supply, control the price. William Herbert Hunt alone was worth a fortune, enough to fill the Houston Astrodome with silver bars. He and his brother leveraged that wealth, borrowing against their oil holdings to buy more. They didn't just speculate, they cornered. By late 1979, the Hunts and their allies held something staggering, a position so large that anyone who needed silver had. The exchanges didn't blink. They changed the rules. First, they raised margin requirements, forcing the Hunts to put up more cash for every contract they held. Then they slashed position limits, making it illegal to own as much silver as the brothers already controlled. The message was clear: the game was over. But the Hunts couldn't unwind quietly. They held too much. When the rules hit, the market panicked. Silver had passed $50 an ounce in January. Now, it fell like a stone. Every drop triggered margin calls, demands for more money the Hunts didn't have. They scrambled, selling other assets, borrowing from banks, but the hole only deepened. The price kept falling, the hunts kept buying, trying to prop it up. But the exchanges had cut off their oxygen. No new contracts, no room to maneuver. The brothers were trapped in a position they could not escape. By March, the margin calls had grown so enormous that one major brokerage faced collapse if the hunts didn't pay. The entire financial system held its breath. A family that had once owned more silver than most nations now had nothing left to offer but a question. How close did their gamble come to breaking Wall Street? The phone rang on March 27, 1980, and the silence that followed told the story. The hunts had failed to meet a margin call, not a small one, but a sum so vast it threatened to pull a major brokerage into the abyss with them. Picture the trading floor, brokers staring at screens, the price of silver collapsing from its January peak above $50 an ounce, now in freefall. The exchanges had changed the rules, raised margin requirements, and the brothers couldn't borrow fast enough. Their fortune, built on oil and inherited from a father born in 1889, was now a house of cards. The brokerage itself faced instant insolvency if the call went unpaid. Therefore, the entire financial system held its breath. One default could trigger a chain reaction. Banks, clearinghouses, pension funds. The hunts had bet everything on a metal, and the metal had turned to lead. But who stepped in to save the system from disaster? The SEC moved in. Their staff report, The Silver Crisis of 1980, laid out the anatomy of the corner. But the damage was already done. The hunts had borrowed to buy silver, and when the price collapsed, the loans came due. They owed a fortune, a sum that threatened to pull a major brokerage into the abyss. A consortium of banks stepped in, arranging a rescue. But the price was everything. The hunts lost their silver. They lost their oil holdings. They lost control of the family empire. William Herbert Hunt had been worth a staggering amount, a net worth that once placed him among the richest men in America. By the end, that fortune was gone. The richest family in the country had bet on a metal, and the metal had betrayed them. They had believed inflation would never stop, that paper money would rot, that silver would always rise. But the rules changed. The exchanges moved the goalposts, and the hunts, for all their billions, could not outrun the system they had tried to game. So what did Wall Street learn from this near catastrophe? That the market is not a casino unless you are the one holding the dice, and the house always wins. The richest family in America bet everything on silver, and they lost it all. It is March 27, 1980. The phone rings in a Dallas office. On the other end, a broker reads the number. The hunts have to cover a margin call so large it threatens to drag a major brokerage into the abyss. But the vaults are empty. The silver they hoarded is now worth a fraction of what they paid. The exchanges changed the rules mid-game, raised margins, banned new contracts, and the price collapsed like a punctured zeppelin. In one day, a fortune built on oil and arrogance evaporates. A consortium of banks scrambles to arrange a rescue, not out of kindness, but because letting the hunts fail would take down the whole house. The lesson is brutal and timeless. You can buy the metal, you can buy the contracts, you can even buy the silence, but you cannot buy the rulebook. When the game turns against the house rewrites the rules. The hunts believed their billions made them untouchable. They forgot that the market is not a casino. It is a system designed to survive, even if it has to eat its own players. And if you think that was the last time someone tried to corner a market, you haven't been paying attention. The players change, the metal changes, the trap stays the same. This is the Monopoly Matrix. Stay curious.